welcome back everybody to Traveling with the Doobies. And as you can see, we're back at the Delta Sky Club and we're headed to the Antarctic. But first, we have to get ourselves to the south, the way south.
So hey everybody, we're here in Delta One. We're headed to Buenos Aires, and due to the power of a couple of upgrades, we're up front in the plane. So see what we have for dinner, and we'll see you later.
A little champagne and streaming the hockey game, as it was the last game I was going to be able to watch for a while. It's a nice time to peruse the menu, and the nice thing about Delta One is there's always a nice selection of different options on both the food and the beverage. So tonight it was going to be a poulet foussé and a little bit of the Bell Evans chicken. As our A330-900 turns the corner and lumbers down that runway full of fuel, it's a good time to tell you what we're in for the next almost 2 weeks. We're booked on what's called the 13-day Antarctica exploration on the Seabourn Venture. Included in our package is 2 nights at the Alvear Palace Hotel in Buenos Aires. And after a couple of days in Buenos Aires exploring, what we'll do is we'll board a charter to Ushuaia, where we'll meet the Seabourn Venture. We'll spend 2 days crossing the Drake Passage. Then we have 7 days scheduled to be in the Antarctic, exploring the ice and doing zodiac tours, all before turning around and crossing that same infamous Drake Passage again. This is the plan, and we've been warned it's an expedition, so things don't always go to plan. So we'll see how that goes as the days go by. Anyhow, it's time for a little snack. I've got my wine in hand before we get a lovely dinner with the Bell Evans chicken. About 8 hours into the flight, we hit a sunrise. And I wanted to particularly be up to see the Andes as we took that left turn over Chile and headed into Argentina, dropping into the Pampas area after we crossed these beautiful mountains. And about an hour out, of course, more food. In this case, a spinach frittata. We'd received communications from Seabourn before we left via email that transfers from the airport were included with any hotel booked through Seabourn. So we looked forward to finding out if that was true and if we'd be greeted by folks in orange shirts. So this bucket list trip was one that we had been looking forward to for quite a long time. We had booked it when we were on board the sister ship of the venture, the Seabourn Pursuit, in October of 2023. And they always say, we've got great deals if you book another cruise on board. And yeah, I shake my head and sure you do. But in this case, I did a little research and I had some numbers that I'd pulled from the internet, knowing prices for Antarctic cruises. And when the Seabourn rep passed that paper back to me, it was too good of an offer to pass up, and we were finally making this trip after a year and a half of waiting. In fact, it was such a good deal, I signed my sister and brother-in-law up for the same trip. So they're going to be meeting us very shortly, now that we're down on the ground in Buenos Aires.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to welcome you to Buenos Aires.
Okay, everything we need for Antarctic exploring. Made it to Buenos Aires. So we exited baggage claim and voila! There are greeters in orange shirts. So they gathered us up quickly and we were led by the Seabourn representative out the doors of the airport and into an awaiting coach ready to take us into the Recoleta district. And in case anybody was confused from the long flight and lack of sleep about where we had landed, we were quickly greeted by La Pulga, the great Leo Messi. So we checked in pretty quickly with the Seabourn rep, and she gave us some great recommendations, as well as a great idea for an excursion in Buenos Aires the next night. So what do you do when you can't quite get into your room? Well, in our case, we meet up with my sister and brother-in-law, also known as @MedFitCulture on YouTube. And we went to check out some dead people. In this case, some of Argentina's most famous and infamous people in the Recoleta Cemetery. Recoleta has many names: City of the Dead, City of Angels, and also City of Cats for the stray cats that call the cemetery home. What you can find here are mausoleums, large and small, Gothic as well as modern. And from a City of Angels perspective, there's probably more angels than there are graves decorating the mausoleums. Overall, there's just under 5,000 mausoleums in the cemetery, which takes up over 14 acres of the Recoleta neighborhood. And it is, in fact, a city as we wander down the streets filled with musicians, poets, presidents, generals, those who were on the right side of history and those who were on the wrong side of history. Graves that are immaculately kept and some in disrepair and falling apart. No one can ever be evicted from Recoleta, which was another interesting thing we learned. The city will maintain the mausoleums so they don't collapse. But then there are the immaculate, as these iron roses on the front of the mausoleum in shining granite. So why on a hot summer day spend time on your vacation wandering around a cemetery? Well, architecturally, Recoleta is amongst the top architecturally important cemeteries on Earth, with Lachaise and Highgate and even Arlington in Washington, D.C. And it truly gives a glimpse into the history of Argentina. What are your videos of? Penguins and dead people. Amongst the striking tombs is this one of Liliana Sazek, a young bride who was killed on her honeymoon in Innsbruck when they were struck by an avalanche. Domingo Sarmiento, champion of education and president of Argentina. Crowds gather for one grave in particular, that of Maria Eva Duarte de Perón, better known as Eva or Evita Perón. The former actress turned first lady, turned activist and champion of the unions, who died at 33 from cervical cancer. Everyone stops by to pay their respects to Evita. One thing that's apparent while walking through the avenues of the dead in Recoleta is what a melting pot Argentina is. So these graves that go back from its inception in 1822 are adorned by names that are Hispanic, French, German, some Slavic. There's Jewish mausoleums, all in the same 14 acres. So we're ready to feel alive now with a little bit of gelato before wandering through the Recoleto to the El Ateneo Gran Splendid bookstore, which is a converted theater to one of the most magnificent structures dedicated to the written word that I have ever seen, and absolutely is worth a few minutes to wander from level to level. So on our way back to the hotel, Mr. Medfit Culture got a haircut, while the ladies decided to go shopping on their own. When we checked into our room, Donna Doobie and I got a nice surprise, not related to the shopping. Okay, we just got to our room, 710 in the Alvear Palace here in Buenos Aires. And we've been treated very well. Seaborn. So, you might think, well, okay, got a nice bathroom. But where's the bed? Well, wait, there's more. Down the hall, past the complimentary bar, it's our bedroom. It even has embroidered pillowcases. TV. And of course, the second bathroom. Didn't get enough TV with the other couple sets? Well, nice big rain shower with logo. That's room 710. Thanks, Seaborn. With a recommendation in hand from our Seaborn representative, we wandered around the corner to Fervor, a Michelin Guide steakhouse with an extensive wine list. So we had some help from the sommelier in picking this Malbec from 2018, which paired perfectly with the meal. Starters, of course, were empanadas. We're in Argentina, followed by what else but beef. In this case, ribeye steak that literally melted in your mouth. It was wonderful and perfectly prepared. To finish the meal, we all ganged up on a chocolate lava cake. And for our final act of the day, we retired to the spectacular lobby bar at the Alvear Palace, and I finished the night with a Negroni. It was a great chance to reflect on a wonderful first day in the Southern Hemisphere. And as I sipped my drink, my eyes got heavy. I realized it's about time to turn in. So we'll see you next time here in Buenos Aires.
Thank you.